All right, so we got everything like stuffed in here. We're starting to work on the air conditioning. The air conditioning stuff, the heating, cooling stuff. So we got our fittings over there. We got some hoses in here. Got to make this work. So if I can't get this fan to work in here, we got big problems. I mean, I guess I can always put the old GM one back in, the Corvette one, but it draws a lot of amps, and I like to use a lot less amps to do that. So it's funny to me. So I'll go to bed with a problem. My problem last night was, how am I going to make this happen, which was a problem. And then yeah, same with the air conditioner unit. The best laid plans of mice and men. So this is pretty good. I actually needed a little less than this, but you can bend these a bit. I had to cut this off and weld it up because it was a port, right? So what I hoped would happen, this being bigger, would kind of stick out and go back over, but it really doesn't. It just kind of lands in the way. But anyway, I figured out how to do that, was just cut that off and weld it up, and it'll probably work. We might have to do some fiddling here a little bit more, but well, generally I just looked at it, I held it in there, and this is close. None of this is easy. Making these hoses and these fittings on this air conditioning stuff has never been an easy job. So anyway, I'm happy we just cut that off and welded it up, and I'll do some bending and that will work. And then I found this stuff, which I bought for the cooling stack. So I bought this. What I find is you cut this top on these guys. You see it looks like a D. You cut the top, and then you can take zip ties and just zip tie this through your radiator core. And the zip ties will sit inside, basically, if that makes sense, because the head just like zip tie onto it. So your zip tie will go through the fins, and then you zip tie another head on. You clip off the tails, and then you got a head of a zip tie on either side of the radiator, basically holding this guy in, which is high temperature foam of some sort. And that will go all the way around the perimeter of the condenser, so when the fan's on, it's going to actually see. I only had it partially through, and it wasn't enough. So when I stopped, the air conditioner wouldn't cool very well. So I'm going to go the full length of this fan, and that way I can get probably another half of that condenser cooling when we're at a stop. The other thing, I bought too much, which is nice. So I'll just put that in between there, and it'll just take the place of this. The other thing, so I was like, how do I make this happen? And then I think the easy way, since I already made this, I tried a 12-inch fan. Those were high hopes. Probably could get away. There probably is a pulse width modulated 12-inch fan that would work probably just great for this, because these fans draw a lot of air these days. But I got this burn down boy, and I've already done a video with that. The problem with these guys is they need to go down. The fans actually, when you put them in here, they actually stick down into the fan area, the radiator area, about 1/4 inch, right? So that would put us, yeah, see the problem, right? So I can't make that happen. So what would be nice, and if you're listening, just make a 3-inch one. So that way we can just stick it on the back and just go flush. Probably save people trouble, be a little bit taller, but probably be easier to do. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to make it 3-inch. And I wasn't sure how to skin that cat. I thought about trying to cutting narrow strips of aluminum and rolling it is difficult. It's really difficult to cut long, consistent strips of aluminum. But it can be done. And then I thought, but then it looked kind of silly. You have like this Frankenstein bead kind of going half-assed around this thing or whatever. So what I came up with is I'm just going to split that insulating guy that I have for that and stick it on the bottom, because it happens to be 1/4 inch thick at the bottom. So we'll just wrap this entire bottom with that, which will lift this guy up 1/4 inch, and then we'll make some spacers for our guy. And you can see I made this so I could use a 16-inch fan. And I've already pre-drilled, so I'll just drill those rivets out, rivet this guy back on, and then this guy will just live on top of, basically on top of there, and just be a a bit higher. So we're going to stick down a little bit, and I'll just make some aluminum to weld up over that. Not a big deal. But overall, we'll have our fan. I'll, we'll have a big flow, big area to pull a lot of air through there. These guys, they're pull like a maniac. So excited about that. Just, it's interesting. You go to sleep at night with these, or you go to bed at night with these problems, like, things don't line up, things don't work, blah, 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 blah. And, you wake up and the answers just come to you. You don't really even have to work on it too much. You just acknowledge that there's a problem. And before you know it, you'll be like, oh yeah, well, what if I just do X, Y, and Z? And the cool thing about cars is it's your education. The car is your education. The more you mess it up, as long as you don't quit, the more you learn. So it's expensive though. I don't know. I always rag like, the college types that spend $100,000 to go to the fancy school to learn nothing really of any great consequence to applying itself to a job that's available at the time. But I would hate to think how much money I've wasted on cars over the years. It has been, but hey, better than cocaine, I guess, right? And hookers, well, I don't know, maybe not. You be the judge. But we're gonna get all that. I just let you know, like, that's how my brain kind of picked all this together. Yeah, so I'm gonna, what do we need to do? I guess I need to start working on the wiring harness and get, all right, this stuff here, put here, right? So this is like pre-haircut, so you can see what it looks like. What I do is I just stick the little zip ties through the backside, right there. I don't feel terribly bad about this. It's not like this is load bearing. You're not hanging a 5-pound fan that's plastic that's going to be jimmy and all. It's just simply keeping this insulation in place, which is, I need to snug down. I haven't really snugged it down yet. So that's what it looks like. Basically, we just stick them through, and then I'll lay it over it, make these little marks. I'll cut the entire length, and then I'll take a drill and we'll just punch these holes out. So as we go back to back, we can just tell. And then we zip tie into the zip tie, right? So, all right, so this is, that goes on to here. So I gave this guy a haircut, as you can see, and there's nothing really sticking out now. So in this guy, ideally, this will bolt onto here, like now. Yeah, like that. Yeah. All right, so we got issues. One of the issues, what do we know about making assumptions? We've all been there. So this guy is 14 inches by 22 inches wide. And what I bought was 14 inches by 24 inches, which isn't going to work. So I need to snake my my power steering cooler lines through over here and make everything line up just like it did before to make room for the fittings. All this is just getting congested real quick. It was so nice looking in here for a minute, and now we got to go back and stuff more stuff in here. So we got to get all the air conditioning lines ran in here. I feel like there was some other line I got to run over here that I cannot think of right now, but I'm sure we will. And then I have to clearance this guy a little bit more because I can't get our intake on. It's too tight right here. So I need to bring that down. Hopefully I don't bring it down so much that I have to weld it. Take everything off. So we're just going to go easily into that casting there. All right, they took the old Flappy Boy out with the Christmas scented, kind of missed Christmas guy, and cleaned up that disaster. And now that guy's just, and we used a little scrubby to kind of clean up our surface there, make it look nice. So now we need to make our, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the fan over there, put that strip around it, and take a look and see what we gotta do. All right, so we have the radiator in its resting place. Everything looks pretty good. It's gonna sit probably right around here. I'm gonna have to do some clearancing of the shroud, which is fine because the fan blade's only coming about right here. So I can nip that down, no big deal. The only reason I think it's so tall is to support the top of these motor support guys here. So we'll just nip that down and make it fit. I still need to clean out the water pump a little bit more. But that is our fan stack, and that should hopefully keep us cool. That's we're all about it, boy. I tell you what, it is the end of March. It's Texas, and it feels hot. It's hot. All right, it's coming. So we stood the fan off. We made a big, huge fan fit where it shouldn't have, making things fit where they're not supposed to be. That's what it's all about. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it, right?